is suitably wet, I thought what we could talk about was wiper motors on World War II Jeeps. So as you'll all know, early in the war and through most of the war, Jeeps were fitted with hand-operated wiper motors. But towards the end of the war, Willys first and then Ford followed suit in fitting the S583-1 Trico wiper motor system. And this system was a marked improvement on the hand-operated wipers, as you can well imagine. Now, as the Jeep is quite a slow-moving vehicle and off-road vehicle, wiper motors were not initially thought to be required. A hand-operated system where you could just clean away water once you'd been fording, perhaps, or driving slowly in the rain, would suffice. But as we know, the Jeep was operated in all different theatres of combat in World War II, in all different conditions. And it was found that the hand-operated system just wasn't up to scratch. So in mid-44, Willys started to fit the S583-1 Trico wiper motors in the factory, and then following suit in mid-1945, that's almost a year later actually, after the war in Europe had ended, Ford followed suit with the Tricos fitted at the factory there as well. So that doesn't mean to say though that you couldn't get Fords earlier in the war fitted with Tricos as well, as retrofit kits were available, and mine is fitted as a retrofit kit to it, as mine was built in May 45, so wouldn't have been fitted with factory fitted kit. However, there were the holes in the tub to fit the hose, the vacuum hose which powers the wiper motor in the side of mine. So I decided to fit them, and especially as we drive in the UK, and as you can see, it's been raining today, it's muddy as well. The wiper motors are a real help. So let's go and have a closer look at things. So as we can see from the outside, what it looks like is, well, nothing different there. We've got two wiper motors, both parked there. That one, the one on the left is properly parked, and the one on the right hand side there, or should I say the driver's side, is just a bit lower than parked. But if we come down, here is an S583-1. This has been rebuilt by somebody else, and I'm going to have to rebuild it again as it's not done particularly well. But the World War II ones shouldn't have anything written on the back of them there, but that's not to say that that's the perfect way of working out whether it's a World War II one or not, because covers can be easily swapped over. There we go. Should all be painted up. The little bolts, or the little the screws there, which are in plain, should all be painted. It was all painted as one unit, and the outside should all be painted as well. So, like as I said earlier on the paint video, all things on a Jeep should be painted. So that's an S583-1. What we've got, it's very straightforward really. This is the on-off switch there. You pull it out to start it and push it back in to turn it off, and we'll see that later in action. And then on the back of it is a well, should I say, is it the front or the back? Well, the back is a small hand grip there, so if it gets stuck when you're using it, which they do, and we'll come to that later as well, you can grab hold of it and turn it, so you can manually move it as well once it's turned on, not when it's turned off, because when it's turned off it has a paddle inside which is drawn to one side, and it has a small sort of flap which is sucked up by the vacuum. So if you have it set to off and you try to move it, you're actually fighting the vacuum, and the vacuum is very strong in reality, so you can break these off. You can see it's very weak there. There's only a small bit, so they're often broken off, those are. So that is it. It's a very simple thing. Inside there is a little flap, as I said, attached to this shaft, and it just goes from one side to the other. The vacuum comes in here. When you turn it on, there's a little, in the back on this side is a small sort of valve gear, and all it does is it sends vacuum to this side or that side depending on where the paddle is. So it either sucks it that way and your wiper arm moves, or it sucks it the other way and it just shuttles backwards and forwards. Very straightforward. So as you can see from the outside, they look like that. There's nothing unusual about them. Inside, it's a bit bright unfortunately, sorry. It attaches on this side here. There's a bit of flexi hose here, goes around to a hard line, and if we come up, got a truck coming up now. On this side it's pretty much the same thing. There's flexi line here, a flexi line here, flexi there, and a Y there. The flexi lines are fitted because you need to open the windshield still, and obviously if you've got a hard line here, you won't be able to open the windshield because it needs to flex here, so if you had hard lines it would just break, so that's why there's a flexi line there. But it comes down, down the arm there, down the pillar, and on an ACM2 tub there should be a hole here, and there was a hole on my one, but during repairs I had to do to it, the hole was removed and I need to re-drill it. So mine is fitted as a retrofit kit. So we can see there's the clips, and it goes up to the top there. Now if it was fitted as a retrofit kit as mine was, they were given a roll of, or tubes of straight steel, which they then had to bend, and they were given a little Y connector that they needed, which sits there. So they had that connector, and they had all the piping they needed, and they had instructions on how to do it all. But obviously the quality of how it was done depends on who was fitting it. So as you can imagine, there would be some rather artistic ways of bending these pipes and where exactly they went. So it's not a hard and fast rule on how things were fitted for retrofit kits. It just depended on who was doing them. But generally they would look like this, and then as you can see it goes under the hood there. So let's go round here without falling over. Prepare yourself. Ugh. Right, round to the front. Let's move you off as well. So here we go. Underneath then we have our hose coming down. It goes underneath the hood here. As you can see, it's starting to get cut. So this is a limitation of the retrofit kit, as not being absolutely perfect, and that's why the grommet is fitted to make it go through the wall there, because the edges on the hood are very sharp there, and they can easily cut through this. So this has got about 700 miles on it from when I fitted it, and you can see how it's starting to wear there and starting to cut into it. So I'll have to keep an eye on that so it doesn't actually cut all the way through it, because if it did cut all the way through it, you're going to lose your manifold vacuum out to atmospheric, so your engine's not going to run properly because you'll have a manifold leak. So that is a problem with that. I'm not sure, I haven't heard about any issues, anybody talking about it, but that is something that could occur. As you can see, you've got manifold taps, you've got one there, and the one that it actually goes onto is hiding in there as well. That's where it taps into to get the manifold vacuum. And all it is then, so for our engine to run, we draw air in through the air cleaner, it goes up through the horn, goes into the carb where it picks up fuel, and then it comes down into the manifold and goes out to the cylinders. And obviously for air to be drawn into the cylinders without a supercharger where it's been pushed under high pressure, there has to be a lower pressure in here than atmospheric to suck the fuel air charge into the engine. And so all we do with the vacuum wiper motor system is to make use of that vacuum. So that lower pressure, we tap off a little bit there, take it up to the wiper motors, and then the wiper motor just applies it to either side depending on the position of the wiper, so that it draws it backwards and forwards. And it's that simple. I'm not sure they didn't use an electrical system. Perhaps they didn't want to depend on an electrical system. You could run down the batteries if you've left it running when the engine's not running, I suppose. The vacuum system is dependable, it's always there, but it does have its limitations. The vacuum system, when you're going slowly or the engine's not working particularly hard, sorry, just looking there, you can see the water's leaking directly onto the coil there. So this is why some of them have got a rain gully here to prevent the water dropping down. I also had water dropping straight onto the exhaust manifold a second ago. It's quite interesting to see there. So that's great, you just get water drops directly on your electrics with the Jeep. There you go. Where was I? Yeah, the limitations of it. When the Jeep is just idling, you get a good draw, you get a good difference between atmospheric and the vacuum in the manifold. But when the engine's running hard and drawing lots of air in, the pressure increases in the manifold, so there's less of a difference between atmospheric pressure and the pressure in the manifold. And what that means is that your wiper motors run slower. Now obviously at higher speeds you want the wiper motors really to run quicker, because you've got more water going on them and everything, so you'd like them to work. But unfortunately what it means with hill climbs and with acceleration is that the wiper motors will stop pretty much, and I had that to deal with as well. Now it's not that bad really. Sustained hill climbs, they will slow down, you will have to operate the manual system with them, the little lever on the back of it, but general use, it's not too much of an issue really. I think a lot of the issue again is older Jeeps which haven't been looked at for a long time. The vacuum wipers inside them, they're full of grease, so if you get grease congealed inside here, you get it's all greased up in there. The system on the back, the little valve system on the back isn't operating anymore properly. You know, if something which is marginal, even when it's first built and working properly, if your system is not particularly well or old and in need of rebuild, it's not going to work very well at all. So I think that's part of the issue with the vacuum system, really, and part of the issue with the wiper motors. But when the wiper motors are looked after, they do work pretty well. Look, there's more water dropping down here. Drops it right onto the coil. There you go. This is the importance of spraying everything with oil. As you can see, the water's just beading off here. So everything's got a good coating on my one of ACF 50, which is an anti-corrosion oil. You could use all sorts of different oils that you felt like, and I put oil underneath here. This is the original brackets with original paint on it. There's oil on there as well to stop it corroding. I mean, this Jeep's been out for 1,000 miles in the rain, and there's no extra, well, little extra corrosion really due to oiling everything. So just as an aside, I would thoroughly advise that you oil everything on your Jeep if you're going to use it outside, if you want it to last longer. Let's have a look down here. If you can see in the dark, you can see the oil, the way it's beading on there as well, on the lines, collecting just down there. So that's all coated with oil to get rid of all that water, or make sure that it doesn't actually attack the Jeep and slides off. But there you go, guys. Hope that explained a couple of things about the vacuum system. We'll do a couple of videos after this to show you it in operation. It wasn't really raining when I took the videos, but you could see the wiper motors working. I would say in use the wiper motors are much better than operating a manual system, and I've operated them with people with a manual system, and they've asked me where I got mine from because they're that much better. But there we go. Right guys, now it's raining a bit, let's have a test of these wiper motors then. So we'll turn it on. As you can see, idling, we've got good speed. It's cleaned the windscreen nicely here. So let's give it a rev and see what happens. So you can see it momentarily stalls, but if you keep the acceleration going, it picks up back to the correct speed. And then let's park it. There we go. So pretty effective really.